There are places in the universe where the rules that built your body, shaped your memories, and hold this planet together begin to fail. Not because physics disappears, but because it is pushed so far beyond ordinary life that it starts to feel almost unreal. Matter changes character. Time loses its honesty. Light itself can be trapped, bent, stretched, and redrawn. And if a human being ever stood near these worlds, even for a moment, the difference between survival and annihilation would be measured not in courage, but in equations. From Earth, reality feels stable. A stone falls. Water boils. Night comes. Morning returns. We build our lives on repetition. We trust the universe because here it behaves. But that trust is local. It belongs to one small, temperate world, circling one ordinary star, in one quiet suburb of one galaxy among hundreds of billions. Step outside that comfort, and nature becomes something colder, more extreme, almost unrecognizable. It begins with a simple thought. We tend to imagine planets as variations of home, maybe hotter, maybe colder, maybe deserts, oceans, storms, clouds. But some worlds are not versions of Earth at all. They are warnings. Proof that the universe is under no obligation to be gentle, familiar, or emotionally understandable. 41 light-years away, there's a rocky world called 55 Cancri. It circles its stars so closely that a year there lasts less than a single Earth day. Its surface is thought to be hot enough for rock to melt into glowing plains, not metaphorically, literally. A world where the ground may flow like a sea of fire, and the horizon would shine with the dull, violent red of molten stone. NASA's Webb observations have hinted that even this inferno may still hold an atmosphere of some kind, as if the planet refuses to choose between being a world and being an open wound. Imagine standing there, if standing were even possible. No blue sky, no wind that carries rain, no cool shadow. Only heat so overwhelming it stops feeling like temperature and starts feeling like intention. On Earth, lava is a brief disaster. There, it may simply be weather, and already something unsettling appears. A planet can remain a planet long after it has become hostile to every instinct we call normal. Then there are worlds that drift with no star at all, rogue planets, bodies thrown out of their systems, abandoned to interstellar dark. No sunrise, no sunset, no warm parent star in the sky, just endless night, broken perhaps by distant stars that give no heat, no comfort, no practical meaning. A world can exist in darkness so complete that day becomes a myth. It can spend millions, even billions of years falling through the black between suns. That idea is easy to hear and hard to feel. A planet alone. No dawn. No dawn. Ever arriving. Oceans, if they exist, sealed beneath ice. Atmospheres collapsing. Surface temperatures sinking toward the background chill of space. On Earth, darkness is temporary. It always carries the promise of return. On a rogue planet, darkness is not an event. It is the whole biography of the world. And yet even these frozen wonders are only the beginning, because there are stranger places than planets. Stranger than oceans of lava. Stranger then eternal night. There are remnants of stars, where matter is compressed until the universe starts exposing its hidden machinery. Consider a white dwarf. This is what remains when a star like our sun dies and sheds its outer layers, leaving behind a core about the size of Earth, but carrying a mass comparable to the sun itself. Picture trying to fit a star into a world. That is a white dwarf, according to commonly cited estimates. A teaspoon of its material would weigh around 5.5 tons on Earth. A teaspoon, enough mass to crush through floors, soil, and certainty. That is the first psychological shock of a white dwarf. It still has a surface. It still glows. It still occupies space. But the matter there is no longer arranged in the intuitive way matter is supposed to be. Atoms are packed so tightly that the empty room inside them, the room that quietly makes everything around you possible, is mostly gone. The ordinary architecture of matter is being denied. Not fully broken, but cornered. If Earth were somehow replaced by a white dwarf, the planet would not merely become heavier. The entire relationship between your body and the ground would become absurd. Your bones would not support you. Your blood would not circulate the way it does now. Your weight would stop being a number and become a fatal condition. Civilization depends on matter being soft enough, spacious enough, forgiving enough. A white dwarf is what happens when that forgiveness is withdrawn, and still, gravity has not finished speaking. Beyond white dwarfs lie neutron stars, and this is where the universe becomes almost offensive in its extremity. A neutron star is the collapsed core of a once massive star, packed into a sphere only about the size of a city, not a country, not a continent, a city. Yet it can contain more mass than the sun. The result is so dense, so severe, that human language begins to lose traction. On a neutron star, gravity is not just strong, it is tyrannical. A jump would be impossible. A misstep would be meaningless, because no human body could remain human there. Even the landscape itself is humiliated by the pull of the star. Estimates suggest that a mountain on a neutron star may rise only centimeters, perhaps even fractions of a millimeter, before the gravity crushes the crust back down. Imagine a world so flat, not because it is peaceful, but because resistance is futile. Everest would not be a mountain there. It would be an imperfection. And what is that crust made of? Not familiar rock. Not metal as we know it. It is matter under pressures so immense that nuclei are pressed into bizarre configurations. Below the surface, the distinction between solid and impossible starts to blur. Some physicists describe forms of nuclear matter there with names that sound almost playful. But the reality is not playful at all. It is what matter becomes when the universe grips it hard enough. Now slow down and imagine the human perspective again. Everything we have ever built depends on the weakness of gravity. Bridges, lungs, trees, language, cities, sleep. We evolved in a world where gravity is strong enough to hold us, but weak enough to negotiate with. A neutron star offers no negotiation. It reminds us that normal is not a law of nature. It is just a local setting under which fragile creatures learn to think, and then the universe takes one more step. Magnetars. A magnetar is a type of neutron star with a magnetic field so powerful it borders on the grotesque, roughly a quadrillion times stronger than Earth's magnetic field. Numbers like that are easy to say and almost impossible to emotionally register. So translated into something more human. On Earth, Magnetism helps your compass find north. Niara magnetar magnetism does not guide. It dominates. It can distort the very structure of atoms. It can reshape how matter behaves at the most basic level. If one passed close enough to Earth, it would not need to touch us to become catastrophic. Its field could interfere with electronics, with chemistry, with the quiet stability our world mistakes for permanence. This is one of the most sobering truths in astronomy. The universe contains objects that do not need to collide with you to ruin you. Their mere presence is enough. Picture a sky with a Magnetar hanging in it. No flames reaching out. No dramatic explosion required. Just an invisible force so intense that the old definitions of solid, gas, and vacuum begin to feel incomplete. Reality itself starts acting stressed. The deeper message is hard to ignore. There are places where the universe does not merely threaten life. It threatens the habits of matter life depends on. Yet even Magnetars are not the edge. They are only the edge of what still has a surface. Because eventually we arrive at the places where surface disappears, where escape disappears, where cause and effect begin to bend around a hole in the fabric of the world. Black holes are often described as simply, they are not cosmic vacuum cleaners wandering space, swallowing everything in reach. They are, in a colder and more fascinating sense, regions where mass has been compressed so completely that space-time itself caves inward. The boundary we call the event horizon is not a wall. It is a point of no return. Cross it, and every future available to you leads deeper in. Not because you made a bad choice, but because reality no longer offers another direction. Around a stellar mass black hole, tidal forces become monstrous. Gravity pulls harder on the part of you that is closer than the part that is farther away. On Earth, that difference is tiny. Near a black hole, it becomes lethal. This is the origin of spaghetti, a word that sounds absurd until you understand what it means. Stretching. Compression. Your body pulled into a shape no body was ever meant to have. Not because the black hole is violent in the ordinary sense, but because geometry has become unforgiving. And here the mind rebels. We want to imagine one final moment of control, one heroic decision. But black holes strip away that fantasy. They are reminders that some environments are so extreme that intention is irrelevant. Human will is not a fundamental force. Curiosity brought us to the stars in thought, but thought alone does not grant immunity from what waits there. Even light struggles here. Photons, the fastest messengers in the cosmos, can be trapped into orbit or swallowed entirely. Think about that. The thing we use to see the universe can be erased by the universe. Near a black hole, vision itself becomes a limited privilege. The map fails because the map maker, light, can no longer return. And if the black hole is supermassive, the horror changes shape. The tidal forces at the event horizon may be gentler than around a smaller black hole. You might cross the horizon without immediately noticing. That possibility is somehow worse. No sudden tearing, no obvious. Just a quiet realization that you have already gone somewhere the rest of the universe can never retrieve you from. A place where every path forward ends at a central singularity our current physics cannot fully describe. This is where the title becomes literal. Worlds where physics almost breaks down. Not because the laws vanish, but because our known theories, the ones that explain stars, atoms, motion, and energy so beautifully, begin to disagree when pushed into the deepest extremes. General relativity describes gravity on the largest scales. Quantum physics describes the smallest. Both are astonishingly successful. But inside the heart of a black hole, they do not reconcile cleanly. The equations that guide us toward truth begin returning infinities, as if the universe is telling us we have reached the edge of our current language. That may be the strangest world of all. Not a planet, not a star, but a place where human understanding itself becomes the fragile object under pressure. And maybe that is why these worlds disturb us so deeply. They are not merely dangerous destinations. They are philosophical injuries. They reveal that the universe is not built around our scale, our senses, or our emotional needs. Earth feels central because it is where our stories happen, but cosmically, it is a small raft of chemistry floating through conditions that are mostly fatal, mostly dark, mostly beyond negotiation. Yet there is something beautiful in that realization too, because the same universe that makes magnetars and black holes also made forests, oceans, skin, memory, music, and the soft electrical miracle of human thought. The atoms in your body were forged in ancient stars. The iron in your blood came from stellar furnaces. The calcium in your bones was born in violence, older than Earth. In that sense, these strange worlds are not fully alien. They are family members taken to extremes. They are the same reality that made us, only stripped of comfort, stripped of moderation, stripped down to the raw power from which everything gentle eventually emerged. When we study them, we are not just collecting facts. We are testing the limits of belonging. How far can the universe go before it stops feeling like home? How much pressure can matter endure before identity dissolves? How close can physics come to failure before a deeper truth is forced into view? And for now, the answer is humbling, farther than we imagined, stranger than we feel prepared for. The cosmos contains worlds of molten rock, worlds of eternal exile, dead stars packed beyond intuition, magnetic fields that can overpower atoms, and holes in space-time that challenge the union of our best theories. Our species has walked on one world. We have sent machines to a handful more, but the real map of existence is still mostly unwritten, and much of it may forever remain hostile to the body that writes it. That should not make our world feel smaller. It should make it feel more miraculous. Becausiere on this narrow surface under a thin blue sky. Physics has relaxed just enough for rivers to flow, 4 cells to divide, 4 eyes to open, 4 children to ask what the stars are. Earth is not ordinary. It only appears ordinary because it is the condition to which we are perfectly adapted against a wider backdrop of the universe. This planet is astonishingly kind. Maybe that is the final lesson of these almost impossible worlds. Not that the universe is evil, not that it is designed against us, only that it is immense, indifferent, and profoundly unconcerned with our comfort. And still, in one quiet corner of it, matter learned to wonder about matter. A small species on a mild world began looking into the dark and asking what else was out there. That question has carried us farther than fear ever could. So when you think of these places, do not just picture danger. Picture perspective. Picture the white glare of a dead star, the crushed crust of a neutron star, the invisible violence of a magnetar, the black silence beyond an event horizon. Then picture a human hand resting on ordinary soil, a breath of air, a sunrise that arrives on time. The soft, improbable mercy of living where physics still feels sane. And if that feeling of wonder stayed with you, if the strangeness of these distant worlds made our own seem a little more precious, then you can help this journey continue. Quietly, thoughtfully, by liking the video, sharing it with someone who still looks up at night, and subscribing for more stories from the edge of what the universe allows.